The doctor pushed a 14-year-old to be medically independent from their parents. I wonder why. What is this?
I need to rant about something, and it might ruffle some feathers. If you live in Washington State, this is a PSA for you.
Okay.
I took my daughter to her well child checkup. She's 14 years old.
Yeah.
The doctor kicked me out of the room. And at first I'm like, okay, maybe they'll talk to her about some things that might be uncomfortable to say in front of mom. Like, I can respect that.
Yeah,
the
sure.
only thing the doctor said is there anything you need to tell me? Is there anything that you want to say?
Uh-huh.
Like, kind of pressuring her to say something.
Yeah,
my daughter
sure.
proceeded to be like, no, I don't need to say anything to you. Bring my mom back into the room, please. Stay with me for a minute, because I know there is a time and place for that. For some kids, they do need to speak without parents in the room, and I respect that.
Okay.
That's not why I'm mad. Did you know that now that she is 14, I no longer have access to her medical records and her documents?
What? What the hell? How can you be responsible then? That can't be legal? Yeah, how does that happen? That's insane.
They removed her from my chart. Let that sink in for a second. She's 14.
For anybody who doesn't know, My Chart is a online, it's kind of like a place where you can access your medical records on the internet.
Not 18. She is a minor. She can make a doctor's appointment, request medication, schedule procedures without my consent, without my knowledge. They will not notify me as the parent.
Wow.
This is where it gets tricky. It's my insurance. It's my money paying for her visit, my money paying for her prescriptions, and my car that drives her there. She is a child. I wasn't even allowed to have access to the forms discussing the visit that she had, the one that I was in the room for. That's
insane, man. Yeah, that is fucking crazy. You can't even drive? Yeah, I mean, Washington State's a shit show. I mean, yeah, you gotta, like, how the fuck does something like this even happen? That's crazy. Trying to piss people off? Yeah, it sounds fake. No, I believe it.
And then when she mentioned that she wanted something to help regulate her acne, they tried to push her to start birth control. I was like, absolutely not. All we need is like a topical or maybe an oral pill to help clear up her face. The doctor then turned to my daughter and said, you can do your research. You have that choice. You can make an appointment to come see me behind your mom's back, and I will get that birth control for you.
What the fuck?
And my daughter's like, okay, thank you, but I don't want that. I don't understand why.
What the hell?
Couldn't just say, okay, you have a skin issue. Let me get you a prescription for like a topical cream that can help clear it up, like a spot treatment. Also, if I don't have access to her records, how am I supposed to pay for her bills?
And how are you supposed to take care of her if she has an issue or a problem going on and you don't have access to knowing what that is? Then aren't you putting the kid at danger? Because if there's something that like a parent needs to know about their child's medical condition and it's not being communicated to the parent, and then the parent unwillingly or unknowingly does something to, make that condition worse or do something that shouldn't happen. Like, how is this even, like, this is crazy. What the fuck is going on? Birth control for a 14-year-old? Birth control is one of the only things that I think kids should be able to get without parental permission. Hot take, teens are just going to have sex with each other anyway. I don't think birth control is that big of a deal either. But, I mean, it really should be. I don't think that a doctor should ever make a decision for a kid. Like, for a kid without the parent's consent. And if the thing is that there are instances, that's actually not true. There are instances where it would make sense, but the instances where it would make sense, I would say you should also, of course, take away their parental rights. Like, if basically the state and the, the medical, like, people are making decisions for your kid without your consent, then how are you in any way, shape, or form qualified or competent enough to take care of the kid in the first place? It just makes sense, right? So, like, if you have this big issue where it's like, oh, yeah, you could be like an abuser to your kid, why do you even have the kid in the first place? So it's crazy. Immediate harm or implied consent? Yeah, exactly.
How am I supposed to pay for her copays? How am I supposed to pay for her bill for the visit or the prescriptions that she can request? This is a problem. And not every kid has a phone. How are they supposed to schedule? How are they supposed to go on a My Chart and make their appointments? This state is messed up.
That's insane, man. Like, bro, like if you have like, I can't even believe that's fucking true, right? I believe it's true, but it's like hard to imagine that something like this is exists. Any medication can be dangerous. Pharmaceutical interactions with medications like birth control can be fatal. Well, here's a great example of it. There's a lot of medications that have very bad like side effects whenever they're combined with grapefruit. If I remember this correctly, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I never really went to med school, so I have no idea. But like, that's my understanding, is that like grapefruit is a great example of this. So like, if your kid is on one of these medications, it's blood thinner, yeah, right. And so if your kid's on one of these medications and it's being given to them by the doctor and this isn't being communicated to the parent and you're relying on the kid to communicate this to the parent, this is the kid that, you know, has to ask for permission to use the bathroom in school. There's a reason why kids aren't responsible for their own behavior. It's because they're children. And so if you're letting this happen, I honestly think that eventually this will happen and somebody will get killed. And like, you know, like the parent will not know, or like the kid will do something that will like negatively affect them. When that happens, it's very simple. You just charge the doctor as being an accessory, and that's it. Problem solved. Yep, there you go. And as soon as you do that, the whole thing goes away. And I've said this before with like a lot of these like, you know, like weird social issues, it won't happen. Well, it won't happen because the people that run the justice system are pussies. They're massive pussies, and they're afraid to do anything that really matters. And so to me, I would like, I am very much a, you know, an Old Testament kind of guy. I think that if somebody does something that's problematic, even if they don't directly contribute to it, if they have created a apparatus that has allowed it to happen, I want to hold them as responsible as possible, because this is the way that I see things, right? Is that I view individuals that take actions from systems as bad, but what I really view as bad are the people who create the systems themselves, right? And so, like, you know, it's like if you give a kid a fork and then you put him in a room and the only thing in the room is a light socket, you know, is the person who gave them the fork a bad person? Absolutely it is. And I think that's what happens with a lot of things. Yeah, we need eye for eye. Well, it's more than that. I don't really believe in eye for an eye. I think that, like, as soon as you can find somebody who's done a bad action like this, you need to make an example out of them. That's my example. Blame the voters, them. They permit this garbage. They do, and it's embarrassing. It really is. So yeah, we need another flood. I wish that would help. And it's a serious issue, because what if a genetic issue occurs where a parent needs to provide some medical history of their family? Yeah, no, I understand that. And I think that there's just so many examples of it where it's negative or bad or it's harmful. And I just wish that more people would notice that, but I don't know if it ever will. Wouldn't the pill be covered by insurance there? Usually there's a copay for things like this, but yeah, it's not one for one. This guy needs a visit from the FBI. Yeah, exactly, right? He's spawn camping, need a new doctor. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, if it's a law in the entire state, then I think that you need a new state legislature, right? I mean, that's what you really need. Seattle area for 46 years, the state is a liberal hellhole that thinks it knows better than kids' parents. It's disgusting. Well, again, I just, as I said, I think the way you handle this kind of stuff is you hold these people that are making these policies personally accountable, charge them as being accessories of, you know, child grooming and stuff like that. Like, be as liberal, like they want to be liberal, you can do the same thing. Be as liberal as you possibly can be with punishments, and then just absolutely fucking crucify them. You do that a few times, and this stuff goes away overnight. I think that, again, the only way that you can really stop bad behavior is by brutal, immediate, cruel personal consequence. And that is the thing that I think works better than anything else. And I think that's why cancel culture is so effective. It's because it's a weaponization of that. And so I think that's really how you should handle those people.